Wraith by William Toney. Chapter 8, The First Strike. The city lights dim behind Aaron as he approached the seedy edge of town. The streets narrowed into a labyrinth of alleys, warehouses, and docks. His footsteps were silent, his senses honed to the faintest disturbances in the air. He wasn't the same man who had been ambushed by a gang just days ago. No, he was something else now. A shadow, a force that lingered just beyond the edge of perception. Aaron came to the docks looking for his next target, a gang member named Cliff. According to Allistor, Cliff was the weakest link, a man easily rattled but desperate to prove himself to Marcus. That desperation would make him careless. The docks at Pier 17 were Cliff's favorite hiding spot, a place where he could disappear from the world and indulge in whatever vices struck his fancy. Tonight, Aaron planned to turn that isolation into terror. Aaron crouched behind a stack of rusted shipping containers, his breath even and measured. From his vantage point, he could see Cliff leaning against a dilapidated pier railing, smoking a cigarette. The man looked out at the water, oblivious to the presence closing in on him. The night was quiet, save for the gentle lapping of the waves against the pier. The salty tang of the ocean filled the air, mingling with the faint metallic scent of rust and decay. Aaron felt the hum of energy within him, sharper than ever, like a coiled spring ready to snap. "You know what to do," Allistor's voice purred in his mind, smooth and coaxing. "Make him fear the very shadows he hides in." Aaron didn't respond. He didn't need to. His actions would speak louder than any words. He moved closer, his body blending seamlessly with the darkness. Cliff took another drag from his cigarette, exhaling a cloud of smoke into the night air. Aaron reached out with his newfound abilities, willing the shadows to bend to his will. The street lamp nearest to Cliff exploded, casting jagged shards of glass raining across the pier. Cliff jumped, spinning around toward the direction of the noise. "Hello?" he called, his voice tinged with unease. Aaron didn't answer. Instead, he slowly opened the door of one of the shipping containers and slammed it shut with amazing force. Cliff's head whipped around, his eyes darting to the source of the sound. "Who's there?" he demanded, trying to sound tough, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Aaron sent a stack of boxes tumbling in the distance, the crash reverberating through the pier. Cliff jumped, dropping his cigarette. "Show yourself!" Cliff shouted, his voice rising in pitch. Aaron stepped closer, letting his footfalls echo softly against the wooden planks. The shadows around him thickened, shifting and writhing as though alive. Cliff backed away from the railing, his hands trembling. "I'm warning you! I've got a gun!" Aaron smirked in the darkness. He could see the bulge of a weapon beneath Cliff's jacket, but the man's shaky hands told him he wouldn't even be able to aim properly. Another crash sounded, this time much closer. Cliff spun around, pulling the gun from his jacket. He fired blindly into the darkness, the shots echoing across the pier. "You're wasting bullets," Aaron said, his voice low and distorted, carried on the wind like a phantom whisper. Cliff's eyes widened, his head snapping toward the sound. "What? Who are you?" Aaron stepped into the faint glow of the flickering street lamp, his face obscured by the shifting shadows. "I'm the consequence of your choices," he said. Cliff raised his gun, his hands shaking so violently that the barrel wavered wildly. "Stay back." Aaron didn't move. Instead, he focused his energy, willing the gun to jerk from Cliff's hands. The weapon flew from his grip and clattered onto the pier, skidding into the water. Wait, what the hell?" Cliff stammered, stumbling backward. Aaron advanced slowly, each step deliberate. "Do you feel it?" he asked, his voice calm and menacing. "The weight of your sins pressing down on you?" Cliff tripped over a loose plank and fell hard onto his back. "I don't know what you want. Please, just leave me alone." Aaron loomed over him, his shadow stretching unnaturally long across the pier. "Were you one of the men who attacked me? Who attacked Lilah? Do you even remember her face? Or are you too much of a coward to face the consequences?" Cliff's mouth opened and closed, no words escaping as he stared up at Aaron with wide, terrified eyes. "You will not walk away from this," Aaron said, his voice cold. The street lamp above them shattered, plunging the pier into darkness. Cliff screamed, scrambling to his feet and running blindly toward the edge of the pier. Aaron followed, his footsteps landing silently on the old wood. Cliff reached the end of the pier and looked around desperately, his breathing ragged. "Stay away from me!" Aaron didn't need to touch him to end it. He reached out with his mind. A nearby fishing net rose from the pier and flew towards Cliff. The net struck him hard and began to wrap itself around him, as if it were alive. "No, please!" Cliff begged. He struggled in vain as he attempted to remove the net that had captured him. "Where is Marcus?" Aaron demanded in a threatening tone. I don't know. Rocco never told me. Only the higher-ups know where he is." "Tell me where to find Rocco," Aaron exclaimed as his nostrils flared. "He's at the pool hall on the east side. That's where he usually hangs out." "Don't do this, Rocco will kill us both," Cliff wailed. Aaron hesitated for a fraction of a second, a flicker of humanity holding him back. But then he saw Lilah's bruised face in his mind, the memory of her screams fueling his resolve. With a final push of energy, an old rusty anchor shot out of the water. Its surface, rusty and pitted, looked as if it had been submerged for decades. Hovering for a mere second, the anchor suddenly flew forward, slamming into the man's chest, sending him off the pier, still wrapped in the net. The man let out a terrified wail as he plunged into the dark, icy water below. Aaron stood at the edge of the pier, staring down at the rippling surface. Cliff's panicked splashing grew weaker and weaker until the water stilled. "Impressive," Allistor's voice murmured from the shadows. "Efficient, poetic, truly a work of art." Aaron turned, his face hard. "I'm just getting started." Allistor's golden eyes gleamed in the darkness. "Oh, I have no doubt about that, my dear Aaron. No doubt at all." As Aaron walked away from the pier, his resolve hardened. Marcus and his gang would learn what true fear was, one by one, until none of them were left.